Writers, it's Miss TW. I was just about to sit down and write in my quarantine journal. It's the end of the day. And I went back to my last entry from yesterday. And when I read it, I kind of went, let me show you what I wrote. May 8th, 2020. We went on a bike ride today. When I looked at that, I realized I did not write down enough to really make this valuable for my journal. Because as you remember, writers, our journals are to help us document what life was like during the coronavirus pandemic. And I only wrote one sentence. So if I go back in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, I won't remember more than I went on a bike ride. That doesn't really leave me with a lot. When you write, you want to leave images in the reader's mind. You want to be able to make movies, right? You want to be able to paint pictures so that a reader can make a movie about what you wrote. And I didn't really do this. So I thought, why don't I teach you writers today how to create imagery with words, and then I'll use my own lesson to fix up my writing. And then maybe you can too. Let's do this together. So when I say that you want to create imagery with words, what I mean is when you write down your journal entry, whatever you're writing about, you want to make sure that after you read it, you can picture it in your mind. You can make a movie in your mind. That's how many details, that's how strong the description is. And one of the best ways to create a strong description is something you actually know a lot about. It's by using your five senses. So when you are writing down the details of your day or of an event during your time at quarantine at home, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. What did it look like? For example, I didn't write down anything about what my bike ride looked like. I didn't tell you if it was a sunny day or a cloudy day, or if the streets were busy or if they were empty. I didn't write to tell you what kind of street we went on. Was it crowded? Did it have trees? Nothing. Nothing to leave images in your mind. I also want you to ask yourself, what did it sound like? When I was riding my bike I was with my kids, it was pretty quiet because there's not a lot of cars out, except that my daughter was just learning how to ride a bike on her own. So we kept cheering her on. And through this empty street, you could hear us screaming, woohoo, every time she made it up and down the street by herself. I wish I would have added that. Another thing you can add, and you can ask yourself when you're writing down something in your journal is, what did it taste like? Now, sometimes you will not be tasting anything. Like on my bike ride, I didn't taste anything. So I'm not going to add that because that will make my journal entry seem kind of weird and not true. You want to stay true to what really happened, but it's a good question to ask yourself in the case that you did taste something and you want to write those details down. Another question you can ask yourself is, what did it smell like? There's nothing too memorable about the smell, but maybe I could add something. I remember we went past a couple trees that were blossoming that smelled like very heavily like jasmine. Maybe I could add that. And then always ask yourself, how did it feel? And you want to think about how it felt in two ways. One, physically, how did it feel? Like, for example, because I was running alongside my daughter as she was learning how to ride a bike, I was sweating. It was super hot out. And my heart was beating because she kept going faster and faster. That's how I physically felt. But I also felt something emotionally. I was so excited and a little nervous about her writing on her own. She was finally becoming independent. I want to write about both of those feelings. So one thing that you can do to improve the imagery that you make with your words, to improve the descriptions, is to use a tool that we sometimes use in Writer's Workshop called a micro-progression. And a micro-progression is a tool that helps you kind of look at your writing and see how good it is, okay? And we do that by kind of looking at this progression, what's kind of the most simple kind of writing to the most complex kind of writing, then looking at our own writing and seeing where it is on that progression, and then making a goal afterwards and trying something new. Let me show you what I mean. So this is what my journal entry looked like. We went on a bike ride. Not much there, one sentence, not a lot of details. No, not a lot of imagery with words. Now, if I can improve it by writing a little bit more. Today, we went on a bike ride. Leo, that's my son, learned how to ride with one hand. He really did. And Katya learned how to ride by herself. That's a little better, but I didn't really include these 5 senses. Now look at this. Today, we went on a bike ride again on Pennsylvania Street because there are no cars there right now. Can you imagine that? Some imagery with words. Leo rode up and down the street, learning how to steer with one hand. He also jumped off curbs, making a thud sound that echoed down the silent street. I ran alongside Katya. I ran alongside Katya as she practiced riding herself. She was a little wobbly at first, but soon she was riding up and down the street with me, huffing. I want to just add this up here, and puffing, trying to keep up. By the time I went home, I was dripping in sweat. Did you see how much imagery I used? How I felt, how it sounded. Let me finish up. It was an awesome day. So if you take a look at my writing here in this micro progression, can you guys see how my writing grew from this one sentence to a few more details, to really using my 5 senses to make my writing really leave a picture in the writer's mind? So writers, what I want you to do is take one of your own journal topics, put it against my micro progression and see, where are you? Are you writing entries that look like this? And if so, why don't you make a goal to try to make them look like this? Or are your journal entries a little bit more like this? They have a couple details, but they really don't have all the 5 senses. If they do, now you can make a goal to add even more. So writers, what I want you to do now is you can either go back to an old journal entry and check out and try to set a goal on with this micro progression and improve your old entry, or you can just write a new one with the goal of trying to write like this. It's up to you, writers. It's always up to you what you write in your journal. So go find a cozy spot, think about your day, what do you want to write, and off you go. I'll see you soon. Bye.